All right, guys, it is 7 o'clock. Thank you all for being flexible and coming to the meeting here in this very intimate setting. Today is November the 21st. It is 7 p.m., so we're going to go ahead and kick off our monthly town meeting. Turn it over to Commissioner Helen to lead us in invocation.
Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for this week of Thanksgiving come up, Lord. We just give thanks for everything that we have. And Lord, we ask that you help those that are in need. And we ask you to help us keep the eye on what really needs to be done for the town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, first thing on the agenda, or the second thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. We'll go ahead and move into citizens' comments. If we have any citizens in attendance that would like to make a statement. We don't have a podium here tonight, so if you could just kind of stand and speak your piece, I'll open it up to comments.
I'd like to make a couple of brief comments. I told Aaron, I think maybe last week, that I intended to make some comments last week, but it's not on what you might have thought I would be speaking on. I'm going to make those comments, but then I do unfortunately have to speak about another topic. I want to please, almost beg, encourage the town to engage at least with the county and probably with state and federal sources, we'll say. And I'm sure there has been some, but I don't know how many of you know that earlier this month the county commissioners approved a 2019 to 2028 comprehensive parks and recreation master plan. And that has been in the works somewhat similar to our long-range plan for some time, and just from I mean, I've only been exposed to it at some county commissioner meetings, but I just feel like we've missed a tremendous opportunity by not being engaged to some degree. And I would say I want to applaud the town administration, the board, for making a number of good selections recently in terms of staff, and they're coming on, they're learning the ropes, learning the community, and probably shouldn't be expected to be involved with some of these things because they're coming in midstream. But we need to be at that table and at the Economic Development Commission and planning. I mean, with the UDO and all that effort and the zoning maps, to not have some very close engagement with the county at this stage, we're missing opportunities. Now, turning to the UDO revision process very briefly, and I had not intended to speak on this tonight, but when I made my comment to Aaron, I had not read one word on the back of your agenda, and that word, or maybe two words, is public hearing. One, in two agenda items from now, you're going to be in the consent agenda approving the minutes from the special called public hearing of October 28th. I've read most of the minutes, and I think they're done pretty well. I kind of advise you or suggest that you read Terry Johnson's fine article as well for a little bit of supplemental information, because in that article, at least twice, Administrator Cordero is quoted, and we all know it as saying that the process was going to slow down and that there would be workshops and opportunities for engagement by the public and those who feel like they need to put input into this process. And I do want to thank you for the opportunities that indeed have occurred over the past month, and they have been significant. But this is a huge project, and it merits, and the reason I have this book up here is I would suggest that before this is approved by the board, that the board itself needs to thoroughly read and understand what is in here. And I'm not standing here claiming that I'm at that point right now. I intend to be. I probably read 2% of it. But that, if that 2% is representative of what is throughout it, it just needs a lot of work. And so for what it's worth, I would hope that the public hearing that is scheduled for January 7th be revised to a public workshop, that not be the only workshop, and that we try to get the wrinkles ironed out of this if it's going to go forward. And I do think the current ordinances need to be revised. I don't think any question about that. But I do think right now we're kind of at best, midstream or a little bit off the shore toward being where we need to be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I might like to make a few comments.
Yes, sir.
If that's okay. My name's Rod Bowen. I'm on Railroad Street. I'd like to just make a few comments. I'll make it kind of quick. This is past my bedtime, so it's late for me. I'd just like to see if I can get some clarification on the amplified sound ordinances. I know, we had the two businesses, the Yacht Club and the Victorian, that kind of got rezoned, and now it's right next to me. And from what I'm able to tell, it gives me the statute right here, except in accordance with permit obtained from the town. It gives you the decibels and all that. A couple weeks ago, I guess when the Victorian first had their grand opening or whatever it was unreal. If no one's ever lived next to a bar, you came to my house that day and you felt right at home. I bought a sound recorder. It almost doubled the 65 decibels that is, I guess, normal, except for as permitted by the town. The police were called, and the answer that we got was, well, they pulled a permit. So my question is this: when a permit is pulled by those establishments, do they have carte blanche to play to a certain time and how loud they want to, or is there any clarification on that?
I can provide clarification. I don't have the ordinance in front of me, so I can't tell you with 100%. Do you have a copy of it, actually?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I can give you this. Thank you for aiding my reference.
It's highlighted down there because the verbiage is a little bit different when it pertains to establishments.
Sure. So basically, if you're doing outdoor amplified sound, then you need a permit.
Sure.
65 decibels is the level, and the limits are between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Okay, well, this went on at 10:24, and there was, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, give me a chance. So, what we discovered was a learning opportunity. I think that, as far as I'm aware, and you can let me know because you've been with the police department longer than I have, but we probably haven't issued a whole lot of these in the last 10 years. How many would you say that we issued before I got here?
0.
Okay. So this is something that I took a look at and felt that we needed to enforce, and felt that especially as the town grows and these event venues come in and the community starts gathering more, that it's important to enforce this.
Sure.
But as with all things, sometimes you learn as you go. And so I think the specific learning experience that we had on the weekend that you're mentioning is the Yacht Club had a permit, or I think it might have been Burnt Barrel, I can't remember, I don't want to misquote, but there was an establishment on that block that had a permit, and the officer that responded mistakenly thought that the permit was for the venue that you're speaking of.
Well, that is correct. The first, with the Victorian, I think that started out on a Friday night, and it was pretty loud. I was out of town. I got in on the tail end of it, and it was just, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is no one's going to stop for us. I get it, and I've been beat down with the water issue. You know that.
Right. Absolutely.
Zero help, and now this.
So what I can also assure you of is that as soon as we received your complaint, as soon as I became aware of it, Interim Chief Kimball and myself both communicated with the Victorian and made them aware of this requirement and let them know that they need to comply.
I mean,
And so we can do a better job at knowing what businesses are in town and when they come in town and making them aware of this, but I think this was just a circumstance where they had not been made aware that there was a requirement for a permit for amplified sound during these hours, and we've done our best to remediate that
Right.
situation at this point.
and I understand things happen, but we've got to keep in mind, they encroached in a residential zone. It got rezoned to commercial. They came into residential, and it is what it is. My bedroom window is 50 yards from this place. You thought you was on Bourbon Street. And Kat, you probably heard of Motorhead and Pantera and all that, right? So I don't think it would be too well received. If they're having a wedding reception out during the spring, I got a 1250 watt amplifier system. If I put it above my fence line and give them some Pantera, some Slayer, some Motorhead, that wouldn't fly. So sometimes what goes around, you know, runs full circle and see how they would like it. I speak for all the people on my block, also on Pine Street. I've got some of the comments that, you know, I'm not a social media person. I care less about it. But I've got some of the comments. I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to say what some of the, you know, the verbiage wasn't all that great, you know. But people are not happy. You know, I got a 78-year-old mom that retired down there. She lives in Way Far. Sometimes she stays with me. I don't want her to my house when this stuff's going on like that. I don't even want to be there. I mean, like I said, I've been beat down enough. First with the water, it is what it is with this. Now this, you know. Enough's enough. I mean, this is my opinion. I'm not trying to be ugly, but you know, I had a quality of life before they got here. So did people on that street, so did people on that block. We deserve a responsibility, just like the people who got the place revamped and opened up the business. They're entitled to make as much money as they possibly can, and God bless them, they should. But they need to have in consideration of the citizens and the residents that live on those blocks. And it's not happening. I get beer cans in my yard, not from some drunk driving by. The night after the yacht club, you know, they park in front of my house. Miller Lite cans right there, you know. I mean, let them park at the post office and get drunk, and we can arrest them. Don't do it in front of my house. I don't want to see that crap.
All I can assure you is that we will fully enforce the current town ordinances to the fullest extent. And if you find there's any deficiencies in this document and you would like to make a recommendation to change this, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, and I'm sure Chief will be happy to attend
they're
that.
entitled to do their thing. It is what it is.
And if you notice anyone, you know, littering on your property or violating any other laws, just make us aware of that, and we'll do our best to ensure that
Right.
they understand as an event venue that it's not permissible.
Well, they should have enough common sense to realize you can't be thumping Kool and the Gang Celebrate at 10 o'clock at night. Come on.
I agree, because it's not allowed by town
You
ordinance.
don't have to be Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles to figure that out. So, with that being said, I'm going to bed, y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Mr. Bowen, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Fonzie. Y'all take care.
Thank you, sir.
All right, floor is still open. Do we have any additional citizens' comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for having a public hearing the other week, and you know this is what we've got a lot of things in work.
All right. Any additional citizens' comments?
I think Mr. Wiggins.
Oh, you were already standing up. I thought you were holding the wall up. Why don't you do that?
I'm sorry, I love young folk. Next Christmas, we've got a chance to get Michael Jason Carroll to be the MC, master ceremonies, whatever, for the Christmas parade. You guys talk it over, let me know if you want him. I got him unless he gets a better call from Vegas. Which he could, he's been there several times. But a lot of people know him, he's a good star, he got his start where Main Street Flooring is. They soundproofed the studio, and he started in that building, so we're going to put up a plaque for him. I hope he can be the MC of the Christmas parade next year, not this year. See you. Let me know. Bye.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Twig. Alrighty. Do we have any additional citizens' comments? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move along into the financial report. Ms. Patterson?
Hey everybody. Things are going good. There's not a whole lot to report. We're finally getting into the groove, I think. And I sent you guys a budget amendment. It's basically covers expenses that we had budgeted last year but hadn't incurred at that time. And as well as the ABC store profits coming in to pay towards the town hall loan. Our auditors will be here. The audit is done and was submitted on time. Let's all clap. It's amazing.
Only about 30 or 40% of local governments meet the October 31st deadline.
And we actually met it for the first time, like the first 2 years I've been here, I don't think we met it. This year we met it. So
Normally we haven't begin until like January and, yeah, okay.
So they will be at our December meeting to present. They're also going to be on the phone for the ABC store meeting in December as a conference call. So those are positives. I don't think I have anything else. Do y'all have questions for me?
Fair enough. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move along into the consent agenda. The action requested here is to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Do I hear a motion in kind? Got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor? And any opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. Moving along into old business, presentation of certificate of sufficiency for annexation, petition 2019-3, Peconic Properties. No action is required here, but Emily, I know you probably want to speak to that.
Normally, after we hit this far along in an annexation request, we do schedule a public hearing for it, and then we do the ordinance. This was one of those, based on our new development policy, that they had to petition for annexation. The owner had to petition for annexation, but while they wish to wait until around March to hear if they can receive their allocation from Franklin County Public Utilities. If they can't develop the property, then they will wish to withdraw their annexation petition.
Okay.
If it can't be developed, they don't want to annex it, and we're willing to work with them on that.
Okay.
So right now, all the paperwork is done. We'll double check when it comes time to put the public hearing there. We'll double check that property hasn't been sold and everything.
So basically, we'll just hold off.
We're
pretty
just
much till
going to
March.
hold off, but they had to get this far in order to apply for their allocations, and the Franklin County Public Utilities won't meet on that until I believe it was February. So it'll probably be the March board meeting before I have a solid answer to you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Emily. And we'll move along into the new business. And this is to set a date for a public hearing with the Youngsville Development Ordinance, January 7, 2020 at 6 p.m. at the Youngsville Community House. I do know we've already had one public hearing, and to Mr. Moss's comments earlier, do we want to have this formatted as a public hearing? Do we want to move it along to more of like a workshop environment, or what are y'all's thoughts? Because there's not, to me, in a public hearing, there's not as much opportunity for back and forth and feedback.
Mhm.
So I'm just floating it out there. So
I have one procedural note, which is the public hearing is required, and that language I would recommend be used because the statute requires it for the adoption of the ordinance. I also, workshop is really a colloquial term that's used for a meeting that is for one specific topic.
Okay.
So I think that this might classify for the workshop moniker, but a workshop is a regular meeting, and a regular meeting might have a public comment period. But as far as rules of procedure, I guess it would be helpful to get from you as a board, what is your desire for that kind of interaction? Is it your desire to have a back and forth with individuals? I mean, you're free to do that during a public hearing. I think that the public hearing process is the conduit through which individuals actually have the opportunity to speak with you while you're convened as a board. So I don't know whether we want to call it a workshop or not. We must call it a public hearing because the statute requires it, and the public hearing process is the process whereby people can speak for 5 minutes at a time. Does that make sense?
that's fair. No, that's fair.
So, but we're happy to, you know, I'm happy to get with you, Jim, afterwards and see if you, you know, what are the reasons why you want it to be called a workshop? As far as, you know, is it that you want maybe a presentation to be done first, and if so, you know, what would you like that to include? So I'd love to get with you independently, and she's just trying to get out of my way. Get with you independently and determine what else you would like to include in that interaction, regardless of what it's called. I think the substance of the interaction is really what you're concerned with. So.
Sure. And I think just to be fair to everybody involved, just giving them a little bit more, because we did kind of hold that limit of 5 minutes, and I know there's probably others that would like to speak or have additional content that they would like to present. So again, the whole premise of me even bringing that up, again, Jim spoke to it in his comments, was to just kind of throw it out there to see what the board thought. I'm fine with calling it a public hearing. If you guys are fine with calling it a public hearing, I just wanted to make sure that we had the citizenry represented to be able to speak, in addition to what they may have been not allowed to last time.
And our normal rules are 3 to 5 minutes, but you can also give us direction to, you know, when we advertise, we would say that people will have more time if that's your desire.
So the scary part about that is some people tend to get long-winded.
You might be there for a while. So.
Yeah.
You do have the ability to continue a public hearing without re-advertising. So if we hit like
I
a
think
certain
that's
time
probably-
frame, we can continue it till the next night, the next week, without having to go through that lengthy
Sure.
advertisement.
One, I think the last time I went ahead and closed the meeting just for the simple fact, during that meeting, I thought the avenue we were taking was to do like individual workshops before we did pretty much a finalized public hearing. So, and I'm fine with continuing and going forward with that as well. So.
Well, what I hear from Mr. Moss and probably Commissioner White is, before we make a decision, they want to be able to give their input. And they're property owners here, and they should have an input into the process without adoption.
I think it's hard to get input in 3 to 5 minutes.
I agree with that as well.
Is what is going on here. So if the public hearing is going to go on as a public hearing, I think you should make some sort of adjustment to the time limit.
I agree as well.
I was going to say, one thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people have been coming in and meeting with staff, so the information that they want to get out is being handled here. And so when we represent our, I'm not sure how to phrase it, when we present the updated map, a lot of their input has also been involved here. So we're doing a lot behind the scenes as well.
Okay.
I think
to
the key
help
is
out.
that we're able to continue with it. You know, if it requires another meeting, we do another meeting.
Sure.
As well.
But it needs also to be noted that this ordinance has a lot more in it than zoning. So far, that's all that's been discussed.
Also, the 3 to 5 minutes typically applies to the speaker, not to a conversation or questions asked. So if there are questions coming from commissioners back towards the speaker, then that time stops at that point.
And I did try to
Those
pause.
questions.
It's not always the easiest of things.
So theoretically,
be a
you could have
timekeeper for me.
conversation for 30 minutes on one speaker. Not that we want that.
I'll just watch people
But it's
yield.
possible.
I've been watching the impeachment hearings. I yield. I yield my time. So, okay, well, again, good conversation. The premise was to throw it out there and see which direction the commissioners wanted to go in. Is there any additional conversation that we need to have before we go to setting a date? All right, so the action requested here is to set a date for January 7th, 2020 at 6 p.m. at the Youngsville Community House. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
We got a first, second, and a third on that one. All right. So we got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote?
So are we making it so that people can speak on that?
We will.
Listen, it has to be done when you announce the public hearing and the site.
We'll just announce that there will be no predetermined limit, and the mayor will govern the boards of the rules of procedure. If that's okay with you.
I'm going to vote. As long, no, and listen, and you guys know me. As long as everybody's respectful and not pointing fingers or doing anything like that, I'm okay with it. If we do get long-winded, there are people, and I'm not picking on anybody in this room, can get long-winded. I will try to keep them on pace, and we'll go from there. Any more discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor? And any opposed? All right, motion carries. Resolution updating the fee schedule. I think we had to change a couple of things, like for market value, for renting fields or something like that. Do
Yes.
you want to address that?
Sure. It's just one change, and the change is to basically make it market rate for the rental of Luddy Park for an entire year.
Okay.
Those are very unique relationships and very unique arrangements that we negotiate, and so we're basically delegating town staff the ability to set whatever we believe the right market rate is for the anticipated use of that field for an entire year.
Okay.
And that was the only change to the fee schedule.
All right. Any questions from the commissioners to Mr. Cordero? All right, hearing none. The action requested here is to adopt the resolution. Do I hear a motion?
Motion moved.
First and a second. All right, any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor? And any opposed? Motion carries. Reports and other business, I get to go first. I really don't have a ton. Unfortunately, I was supposed to announce this last Thursday, but the Hops and Holly event is going on at Crossing Main. It's a little bit late, but if you guys want to go spend $80 and donate some time and money for the, I guess it's the Boys and Girls Club of Franklin County, they're doing that there. Unfortunately, we did not advance as far as I would have liked to in our kickball league, but there's always next year. I do want to commend Andrew Andy Parkson, or Andrew Parkson, I'm kidding. I think it was a successful season. Hopefully everybody that played felt the same way.
And who was the winner of the season?
Main Street Flooring.
Flooring,
Right.
so the
Carpet Brothers.
picture today.
So,
Thank you.
congratulations to them.
Yeah, that's your pictures.
They did a great job.
It's a good thing. It's a good, yeah, but still fun. It's a good thing that I'm not extremely competitive, because that might have got my goat a little bit. But, other than that, man, I just hope everybody has a great and safe Thanksgiving. And I yield my time, Mr. Cordero.
Thank you for yielding, Mr. Gentleman Mayor. I have a few things. I wanted to provide you an update on the upset bid process. So we did reach a final number, and so right now we're in negotiations with that party to execute a contract for the transaction of the Old Town Hall property. We'll be discussing that later this evening. And I also want to make everybody aware, now that you've approved your January 7th meeting for the development ordinance, that we will be sending out postcards to every single taxpayer to advertise that meeting. So it will be interesting to manage the time. That will be an interesting task, but I'm sure that you are up to it. I also have Hops and Holly on my list to mention, so I think that's a bit late, but also want to remind everybody that the Christmas parade is going to be the first Saturday in December, as always, which is Saturday, December 7th. We'll begin at 10 a.m. and the tree lighting will be the same day at 5 p.m. I'm probably stealing Commissioner Headland's thunder.
That's fine. Go ahead.
And also want to update everybody that we will be having our Shop with the Cop event for the first year. Congratulations to the Youngsville Police Department. Thank you to them for organizing that. That'll be Tuesday, December 17th. That'll start at 6 p.m. at the Community House, where the participants in that exercise, which will be police officers and the children that are chosen, will enjoy a meal together. That's Tuesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. The basketball court is now complete, except for a fence. So if you want to go see the basketball court at Luddy Park, it's now painted with the basketball lines and new goals, and it also has your pickleball lines. So feel free to go out there. I checked on Amazon. You can buy a pickleball set full with the net and paddles and balls and everything for $100. So
That looks good too, by the way.
I've got one
Yeah.
of those.
It looks really nice.
So feel free to go out there and get your exercise in. Maybe wait until the spring, I guess. It's going to be chilly out. And then also wanted to provide you an update that the pedestrian project is moving along for downtown to resurface Main Street and also improve the sidewalks and the pedestrian facilities of Main Street. Unfortunately, due to construction delay with basically cash management issues at NCDOT, which I'm sure you may or may not be aware of. NCDOT has asked us to postpone bidding the project until May. Now, we would like to continue on schedule, and there is a process whereby we can make a special request to NCDOT to continue with the project as scheduled and bid the project before the end of the calendar year, which is what we anticipated originally in our schedule. But we don't know whether that will be approved or not. So the worst case scenario is that we can't bid that project until May as opposed to bidding it now. And again, that's just because the state still hasn't passed the budget and the federal government's on a continuing resolution, and so just cash management and budgetary constraints are high for NCDOT especially right now.
But the good news is we didn't lose it through the federal rescission.
That's right, and so we have 10 years.
That was possible.
We have 10 years to complete the project, so hopefully we'll beat that timeline. So that's mixed news, but I'm hoping that we'll be successful in our request, and I'll certainly keep you updated in that regard.
Okay.
That is all I have.
All right. We'll start with Commissioner Hutton.
Phil stole everything I was going to talk about.
All right, moving on.
Can you believe that? Basketball court looks great. I mean, it really does look nice. That's it.
It'll look better once the fence is up too.
No, I know.
Well, I've got a pickleball set, so if anybody wants to break it in and try some pickleball with me,
I do.
it's fun. It's super fun. So, hey, if we need a heater, we'll just bring that up there and we'll be good to go. All right, Commissioner Johnson.
The only thing I really got is, we really need to consider on our side streets moving the speed limits from 25 to 15. It's awful. I say it every month. I feel for people on other streets, but I see it every night and every day. It's not good. So.
One thing I would say, if we do that, we should do it for more than just that neighborhood, because our neighborhood has some speeding too, including some bus drivers.
That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Wiggins.
I'll just reinforce what Commissioner Johnson said. Nassau Street gets a beating as well, and it continues every night. Last Saturday it went on all day, up and down the street. They were actually racing during daylight hours.
Commissioner Red.
If you don't have anything to do on Thanksgiving, there's a fantastic 5K in Wake Forest. The Gobblers Run is at the Wake Forest Boys and Girls Club. I founded the race 14 years ago, and I direct it, and all the money goes to the Wake Forest Boys and Girls Club, and it's really, really fun. It's very family-friendly. You can have dogs and strollers. And we'll have 2,300 people there. So, I know, Jim, are you doing it this year?
I am.
Anyway, so that's fun. And that's all that I have right now. I think I have one more thing.
She yields her time. Fair enough. All right. Thank you for that, Commissioner Red. All right. I'll turn it over to Planning and Zoning.
Phil stole everything I had too.
Still everyone's thunder, man. Jeez. All right. Mr. Bartholomew, should I go to you, or did he also steal your thunder as well, sir?
Well, I look forward to reprising my role as chief hot dog cook for our Christmas tree lighting.
Thank you, too.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Appreciate
It was a great time last year, even with the minutes that we had. So I look forward to it again this year. And I would also say, after you have worked up an appetite from going to run Cats 5K, there is a community meal in Lewisburg at the college that is free of charge and is designed for underprivileged people to get a meal. So if you'd like to volunteer and help other people on Thanksgiving to find a place and a warm meal for the first time and potentially a long time for them, then it's a wonderful opportunity to go and volunteer to help others. I've done it for the last 5 years.
Good deal. Anything else?
No, the rest of my stuff will be in a little while.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you for that. All right. Chief Kimball.
I really don't have anything other than y'all pretty much got the new packet the way it comes out now. In your, so everything is in there. If you have any questions on that?
All right. Let's see. Justin. couldn't make it tonight because he's got baby duty, literally and figuratively. So he said the only thing that he has is that they are burning a house off of Husketh Road behind Hill Ridge. I'm not sure where that is.
That's at the,
So it's the one right behind, okay. All right.
Is that the end of that road?
Okay. So they're having a burn there Saturday morning, and he says to thank everyone who participated in the community CPR class. He said it was a big success. So that's all you have, and we'll move over to Parks and Recreation. Mr. Smith, what you got?
Awesome. Our first Halloween Trick or Treat the Trails event happened on Halloween. It was a wonderful turnout. We're thinking over 750 people in our first year of doing it. So thank you to Faith and all the others that helped host it inside due to the weather. A lot of great turnout, great costumes. Thanks to Bill and Kat for judging the costume contest as well. Had some good turnout there. As Fonzie said, he stole my words. Kickball ended last night. It was a great season. Weather slowed it down a little bit, but that was good. Mayor Flowers stole my words. There you go. Anyways, basketball is up and going. We almost tripled in size for basketball this year, so that's been keeping me very busy lately. Thank you to those in the room that are coaching or assisting. That's a big help this year with that growth as well. So games will get going here in about 2.5 weeks for basketball. As mentioned, the basketball court is now open out at Luddy with pickleball. We'll be trying to set up a pickleball league or something in the day here in the spring to go. So other than that, that's where I go.
Good deal. Thank you, sir. All right. Town clerk, tax collector, Ms. Hurd.
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right, moving along into maintenance, I see that the snowflakes and the signs, the Happy Holiday signs are up. Have they already installed it? Have they already put the tree up?
They will do the tree on Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay. All right. Are there any other?
And the snowman signs will go out, I think, next week as well.
Okay.
We usually get painted.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys did a good job with, because I even saw at Speedway, the little slivers with the little packets for people to pick up to understand the parade route has changed and things like that. So hopefully.
Thanks to
I had someone come to my door.
Thanks to
It was
Covenant Hope
amazing,
Church
right?
for volunteering and doing that. They were very, very helpful.
That was
Mhm.
really amazing. That was so
We put the flyers together and they supplied all the volunteers that go around town.
Good deal. Well, I know, Emily put some things in the packet to send out in the trash bills and things like that. So hopefully everyone in this area is aware that the first Saturday of December, like we've done for the past probably 25 or 30 years, there will be a parade and traffic will be shut down or rerouted. Now, I'm not going to say shut down. It'll be rerouted to a different location. So.
That is one of the key things with the new route. We do have the ability to actually direct people around town easier than we have in previous years.
All right. Mr. Cordero, anything else from a maintenance standpoint that needs to be brought up?
The only other significant item would just be that now we are in leaf and brush season. So, make sure that you can go to the town website and read the rules and just make sure you get your leaves so we can pick them up for you.
Did we pick up a part-time to help with that?
We did?
I thought I saw somebody in the truck today. So, okay.
Yes.
Good deal.
Trying to give those gentlemen the resources they need.
Absolutely. I like it. All right, guys. Well, I like seeing y'all's faces, but we're about to go into closed session, so y'all got to leave. All right. So, next item on the agenda is closed session. We do need to go into closed session for A, preservation of the attorney-client privilege, North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11, subsection A, subsection 3. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
And a second.
I was thinking it's gonna happen.
All right, sorry, I got distracted. So any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, we're now in closed session. Thanks, Terry. Motion carries. Okay, so the time is currently 8:43. We came into closed session to discuss preservation of the attorney-client privilege, NCGS 143-318.11, subsection A, subsection 3. We're now out of closed session. No action was taken.
I appreciate all that.
And I wish all of you a happy holiday.
Yes, sir.
I will be at Sunset Beach.
Oh,
Every Thanksgiving
all right.
afternoon dinner at Clark's Restaurant.
Oh, nice.
If there's nothing else,
I'll be in California.
did you want to speak that into the record as far as the direction we gave you? I mean, they're
No,
gonna find that out soon.
I'll be in the cold dark putting up 5.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving, guys. This meeting is adjourned.
You all right?